Hello, welcome to Indie Tutorials. My name is Guillermo and I would like to thank the patrons supporting this channel. Hello everyone, today we are taking a look at integrating Pixel Crusher's Quest machine with ORK Framework 3. So what we have here is the standard 3D RPG Quick Start project from ORK Framework tutorials. Nothing much to it. It's the standard project that you can download from the website. And what I'm going to do now is to import the Quest machine trial version, so I will be able to share this project file later on. So let me go to the desktop where I have the downloaded package, drag it into Unity. And from here I will choose import everything. Let Unity compile the scripts. And we should have at the end a new plugins folder with Quest machine asset. There we go. So now if we navigate to the plugins folder, we should have Pixel Crusher, then Quest machine, and from here, since we are using ORK Framework 3, which is a plugin for Machinum, we need to install two assets. So let's go into our third-party support, and from here we have the Machinum support asset as well as the ORK Framework asset. So we need to first of all we need to install the Machinum support. So let's double click on it and click on import. It will create now into our asset root folder a Pixel Crusher folder with Quest machine support for Machinum. Now we need to go back to third party in the plugins folder and locate the ORK Framework support and double click on it and click import. Alrighty, so we can go back to the Pixel Crusher folder created in the assets folder, Quest machine, third-party support, and we have both Machinum support and ORK Framework support. So to keep things cleaner and tidy up, I will create the whole structure of this tutorial inside this ORK Framework support folder. From here we can see also that we have the documentation, how to integrate it as well, but we are going to make a full tutorial about it. So let's continue. What I'm going to do inside this folder is to create another folder. So click create folder and let's rename this to tutorial, like so. And I already have the start menu from the 3D RPG Quick Start project open, so I will save this scene as start menu QM for Quest machine, so to keep things clean up inside this tutorial folder. So let's go to save as, and from here I will select the Pixel Crusher folder, Quest machine, third-party support, ORK Framework, tutorial, and let's call this one as start menu QM for Quest machine. Similarly, I will go to our tutorial assets, I believe it's in the scenes folder actually for this project, and I will open up the world scene. If you're familiar with the Quest dialog tutorial, this is the same scene that we have previously, so I will save this one as world QM in the same folder as the previous one. Like so. And now we have the main things that we are going to be working with. Of course, these two scenes we need to add them to the build settings from Unity project. So build settings, and from here we can keep the old ones here, but just remember to put them so there can be a reference later on. There we go. And of course, if we were to open the Machinum editor, we need to go to the UI settings, and in the ORK section start menu we need to call or type here the start menu QM, as well as the new game scene should be world QM. There we go. Save the settings and click on confirm. So if we now were to open up this start menu QM and hit on play, we should have the menu from the game, so we can start a new game and everything work as expected. We can see that the scene loaded was world QM, so we can start building the quest machine settings from here. Let's continue by creating some folders. So let's create a folder called data. Here we are going to hold the quest database. Let's create another folder for our prefabs that we are going to store. Next, let's create another folder for sprites, and finally a folder for our custom schematics. Now that we have the start menu scene open, we need to add a couple of prefabs here. Similarly like we did for the dialogue system. For the quest machine, let's go to plugins, quest machine, and then under the prefabs folder we will see that there is an input device manager and also a quest machine prefab. So the input device manager, this is an optional component that handles input for pixel crusher assets like a dialogue system and the quest machine. So let's drag it up to the scene, and we can leave everything as it is. And the next prefab that we need in the scene is the quest machine prefab. So drag it up, and here by selecting the quest machine we can see that we need to set up the quest database. Right now is pointing to the demo that comes with quest machine. So let's clean it up, this, or remove this one, and we are going to create a new quest database. Besides generating this quest database, for the ORK integration we need to add several other components to this game object. So let's click on add component and select the save system. For the integration we need to uncheck the save current scene. The next component I will add is the JSON data serializer. And the last component I will add is the Machinum quest machine save data. So this is the bridge between quest machine and ORK and Machinum assets. So let's type Machinum quest machine save data. There we go. So this is all for the start menu quest machine. So let's save the changes and let's move on. To create the quest database, let's open up the data folder, right click on it and go to create Pixel Crushers quest machine quest database, and let's rename it like ORK tutorial quest database. So let's click again into the quest machine prefab here, and then we can assign this database. Of course, this database, if we were to click on it and see in the inspector there is no quest asset yet, so let's create one now. To create our first quest, right click on the data folder again, go to create Pixel Crushers quest machine quest, and let's rename this quest to something like green pants quest. Now we have the option to open the quest editor from this from the quest asset itself. We can also take this opportunity to click on the quest database and add our new quest, newly created quest over there, which will be also referenced in the quest machine manager. So let's start by creating the steps for our new quest. Now we can open up our quest in the quest editor, and we have the main quest window, and from the inspector this is the anatomy of this quest asset. So the first section is the quest info, where we can add a unique ID. So let's, for example, type green pants quest. For the title we can use defeat evil wasp. So this is the title that will appear in the quest dialogues on the quest journal every time we query it. Down below we have this icon section or labels, so we are going to use the button, the button icon that comes with a quest machine. So click on this button to query it and type button, and then we can select the sprite. There we go. We are going to leave the is trackable and show in track HUD as checked, as well as max time and current state waiting to start. So this is the general information about our quest. We have not added yet any task. Yet again, let me collapse the quest info. We have the auto start section. This is for example, if we were to use the player to start a quest automatically by entering a zone by trigger or something like that, but we are not going to do that. The offer section is actually where the quest giver is offering the conditions to start the quest. The state stations contains all the states that a quest can have at any given time. So waiting to start, the active quest, successful, fail, abandon. Counters are sections, or you can put here some things like if you were to count, for example, a quest for collecting something against, let's say in this case, ORK Framework inventory, this is the place you will add those variables. Alright, so let's continue. So as mentioned before, we are not going to use the auto start, but the offer section. In here we will add in the offer text, click on the plus button, and then we are going to add a heading text, and we are going to use the quest title as shown here in the quest info. So this information will be shown in the dialog when asking for the quest. Next to the quest title, let's add some text. So let's click on body text, and in here we can type something like I have sworn vengeance against evil wasp. She's waiting to ambush travelers just outside, if I were to type correctly, town. Will you help me defeat her? And let me correct this outside. There we go. So we have the heading, we have the text, the body text. Now we can add, for example, another heading. Let's select heading text, and in this case we can override the heading text to reward. There we go. And finally, let's add an icon, and for the image let's select the coin that comes with quest machine assets, and for the caption let's type here gold, and the count will be 5. So this is going to be our offer text that we'll see when we start the dialogue from the quester. Okay, now we can collapse the offer section and go to the states. Waiting to start an act, we don't care about the waiting to start, so we are not going to populate nothing here. So click on the active instead, and in the dialog text let's click on plus and let's add a heading, and again let's use the quest title for the heading. In the journal text let's do the same, let's add a heading text, use quest title, but also let's add another body text just to showcase the use of quest machine tags. So let's type something like help, and then in between brackets let's type in uppercase quest giver, close bracket, defeat evil wasp. This is just to showcase that this tag will be replaced with the name of our quest giver. Then the hot text. The hot text is something that will be shown like in the upper right corner. So from here we can also do a heading and use the quest title. So this is for the active quest. Let's collapse this active section and go now to the successful. And from here let's add a, for the dialog text again similarly let's do a heading, and use the quest title. Now for the same here in the dialog text, this is the dialog that will be the player and the quest giver will have, let's add another body text, and in this case let's add something like thanks for defeating evil wasp. And in the journal text, let's add a heading text once again and click on the quest title. So let's collapse successful, and now that we are ready with the main information of our quest, we can start building the blocks. If we click now in the start node, this is actually where the quest starts, but we are going to leave everything as it is, nothing to change here. So now we can right click and new node and set a condition node, and then we can link it together. For our condition or task, let's change the ID to something more meaningful. So let's change this to kill evil wasp. Now similarly we have a state for this task itself. Of course we don't care for the inactive section here, so let's go to the active one, and from here we can go to the dialog text once again, and we are going to add a body text, and let's type something like evil wasp is just outside town, you can't miss her, something like that. And for the journal text, let's add also a body text, and let's add something like find evil wasp just outside town and defeat her in a mortal combat. There we go. So we have the active section for this task itself. Down below, as we scroll, we have the true section. This means that we accepted this quest. So when we accept the quest, we are going to trigger an action, and this action is going to be to change the quest giver indicator on top of his head. So let's select the plus icon here to add a set indicator. So for the entity ID, let's add green pants. This is going to be our quest giver entity, and the quest indicator state will change to talk. There we go. So when we accept this quest, the quest indicator will change to offer to talk. If we scroll down, now we have our conditions for this task, and in order to set this condition, we click on this button and let's add a message type of condition. So we are going to use the quest machine messaging system, so the whole system will be notified about something, and in this case the message is going to be kill. This is a internal message command, and the parameter that we are going to pass here is evil wasp. So the whole system will be listening whether we kill or not an evil wasp. After making our main task, we can add another task to return to our quest giver. So right click again, new node, condition, and link it together. Let's call this, or set the ID of this task to return. Now once again we are going to skip the inactive state and go to the active one. So for the dialog text, let's add a body text, and this is of course after we kill or we defeated Evil Wasp, so the quest giver will say great job. I knew you could do it. You could do it. And here's your reward. Now for the journal text, click on the plus button and add another text here, so body text, and we are going to say here, you have defeated Evil Wasp. Now return to, and we can use again these tags, so let's add open brackets quest giver, so return to green pants in this case, in town, for your reward. And for the hot text, let's add another body text, and here we can set it to talk to quest giver. There we go. Let's collapse the active section, and now in the actions for the true subsection, we are going to change the indicator once again, so click on the set indicator. The entity ID once again is green pants. Be careful with the spelling, so green pants. And in this case we are going to change the quest indicator state to none. Let's add another action, and we are going to play an audio. Let's select the fanfare audio that comes with the asset. After the audio, let's add ORK currency. So we are going to give 10 coins of gold to the player, so we're going to add 10, and we need to select which is the currency name in the ORK framework. So let's go to Window, Game is Love, Machinum, and let's check here in the inventory currencies, the name is gold. So let's type here gold. We can see add 10 gold to player. And lastly, let's add 10 points of experience to the player as well. For this, let's select the ORK give experience or EXP. And once again, it's asking us for the value or the ID of this status value. So we can check once again in the GameSlov Machinum editor, and we go to the status values and exp. We'll see that the ID is 4. So let's make this change here. So type 4 for the status value, and let's give 10 experience. Lastly, let's go to the conditions section and let's add a new message condition and set it the message to discuss quest. And for the parameter, we're going to pass the ID of our quest. So if you remember, is green pants quest. And we can check it off if we click on the canvas of the quest itself in the quest info. There we go. This is the ID of our quest. So let's select back the return task and make sure that everything is set up correctly. The final node, of course, is the end of this quest, or the success. So right click on it, new node, success, and link it up. For the success task, let's collapse the inactive. Then in the true section here, let's add a journal text and click on body text, and this is just like a reminder of what we did. So you defeated evil wasp, return to, let's add again the tag quest giver, and collected your reward. And that should be it for our simple quest. So let's close the quest editor, make sure that this quest is listed in the quest asset for the quest database, and that the quest database is linked to our quest machine configuration or quest machine manager. Now let's start building our prefabs for the player, the quest giver, and the evil wasp. First of all, let's import some sprite to use as portraits. So I have made some of them already, so let me just add them. So we have a portrait for the warrior, for green pants, and for the wasp. Next, I will open a Machinum editor once again and check for the combatants, and fighter. And from here I want to see the prefab that is being used, so I will click on it so Unity will ping it. And I will add a duplicate of this warrior prefab, so Ctrl D, and I will drag it into our prefabs folder that we created for the tutorials over here. Now from here I will rename this warrior to warrior QM for quest machine, and let's open up this prefab, and I will collapse all the components and add a quest journal, but not the standard one, but the one for ORK. Okay. For the ID, let's type player. For the display name, let's also type player. Now for the image, let's select our warrior portrait. We can leave the including saved game data and save across scene, as well as remember complete quest and forward events to listeners. The next component that we are going to add is the one that comes also with Quest Machine, and is called ORK Events on Post Player. So this basically will block the player's input when the Quest Machine shows any dialogues or any other UI, for example. So this is for our warrior Quest Machine. So let's close it up, and now we can go to Machinum Editor once again, in the combatants, the fighter, and we can change the standard prefab warrior for our new prefab warrior Quest Machine and save the changes. For the quest giver, let's find out in the ORK Framework tutorial assets. We have here in the prefabs NPCs, and let's select the casual to male and make a duplicate of it, Ctrl D. Let's rename this one to green pants, and let's drag it into our prefabs folder. Then open the prefab itself, collapse the hierarchy, and this guy what needs is a quest giver component, not the standard quest giver component, but the one that is prepared for ORK. So let's select here quest giver for ORK. The ID of the quest giver is going to be, if you guessed, is going to be green pants, the same as we set in the quest itself as entity ID, if you remember. So green pants. The display name, let's add green pants. Now for we can leave the save settings as they are, no problem. And then in this dialog content, we have, for example, when no quest UI content. So when there is no quest, we could use body text of hi or something else. When we have a quest to offer, we can change the text here, the body text, to can you help me? Oops, my bad. Can you help me? There we go. And when the active when the quest is running or is active, we can change the text here. So to, I don't know, what do you want to talk about? There we go. So this is for the quest giver component. What I would like to do also is to add the quest indicator to the NPC. So for that, let's create empty game object. Create empty. Let's call this one head. Let's press F key to focus select, and let's move it up. So this is the head. And as a child component, let's add the indicator UI. So let's create another child game object, and let's call this one quest indicator manager, and let's add a component here of type quest indicator manager. It's asking for a quest indicator UI, so let's select the one that comes with the prefabs in the quest machine, quest prefab, quest indicator UI. And because we are dealing with a 3D game object, let's add another component to always face the UI to the camera. So always face camera. There we go. And of course we want this quest indicator to be on top of the head, like so. And what is going to do, this quest manager is going to instantiate this prefab for us when the first state, as we can see here, has quest state to offer, so the state is offer. Let's click in the green pants game object, and of course what we need next is a cinemachine, sorry, not cinemachine, a interaction machine to actually start the dialogue and start the quest, or offering the quest, right? So let's add from window game is love machinum scene wizard, and let's add a machine, and it will be of type interaction machine. The start type is going to be interact, and also we can set it to mouse up, not this one, but the mouse up as a button. And of course we need to make our schematic, so let's do that now. Click on create schematic, and let's select the folder where I store this schematic. So let's select Pixel Crusher, Quest Machine, third-party support, framework, tutorial, schematics, and let's call this one start quest machine dialog. And from here we can now add a node. We can scroll down where we see quest machine, and from here it will be start dialog. Let's link it up, and for the quest giver is the game object that has this machine object running, and for the quester is going to be the player. There we go. Save the schematic once again, close the editor, make sure it's linked up in the machine execution settings, and let's scroll down in the object turn. Let's make this NPC to turn to the player when talking, and then let's review. Everything is expected. Let's review the quest giver for ORK, and well, importantly, here in the quest section we are missing our quest, right? So let's add a new entry and link our green pants quests. Those other quests are from the quest machine demo, so let's link it up here. Okay, and of course what we have left for now our NPC is to change the pants to green, right? But that's something I will do behind the scenes. It has nothing really complicated but to change the material color. Alright, so see you on the next phase. Okay, now that green pants is ready, let's close the prefab itself, and now we can navigate to our scene. That will be the world quest machine scene, right? and let's find a place where to put our NPC. Similarly to the previous tutorial, let's select, let's see if we can find the same spot that we used previously. Something around here perhaps. Come on, there we go. And prefabs, green pants, and let's put it over here. There we go. And let me see, let's rotate this guy. Oh, sorry, not the head. My bad. Green pants. There we go. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now I will expect that if we were to start the game, we should have our warrior come near or be able to talk with the NPC and see the quest request. So let's save the changes and go to the main menu and let's hit play. Click new game, and now we have our warrior. So let's check it out here in the fighter prefab, which has a quest journal, so this is the good one. And if we were to click on the NPC, we see the indicator there. There is our quest, our dialog quest. What is missing though is the quest giver portrait, so something I missed to add to the prefab itself. So let's fix that out. And also if we were to accept the quest, we need to also set up the journal, right? And a way to show the journal. So let's continue with that settings. Okay, so first of all, let's go to our prefabs and select green pants. And indeed, in the image section here, I forgot to add the portrait. So let's go to sprites and green pants portrait. So that will fix the missing portrait in the dialog, in the quest dialog. The next step is to add a ORK input that we can listen to in order to open the quest journal. So let's go to Gameslove Machinum, and from the base control input keys, let's add a new input key, and let's call this one journal. For the key settings, I will remove the fixed update, and then I will add an input ID with origin into key code. So the positive key will be the J key, and we can leave the input handing to down. So let's change also the GUID, something more meaningful like we said before, so journal. Click OK and save the changes. Now of course we need to add schematic that will listen to this new input that we set up. So let's add a add node, scroll down to input, and then scroll all the way down to wait for input, link it up, and the input that we are waiting for or listening to is the journal. So when this input is pressed, or this key is pressed, we are going to add the quest machine show journal UI. And of course, in this section, in this mode, we can change it to toggle. So whether it's open, it will be closed. If it's closed, it will be open. And of course, we need to loop this schematic. Otherwise, it will run just once, and that's not desirable. Now let's save this schematic again in our schematics folder that we created before. And let's call this one to toggle quest journal. And of course, the next step will be to, in the Warrior Prefab, to add a auto machine. So let's go to Game is Love, Machinum, Scene Wizard, add machine. This is going to be an auto machine that is going to be running all the time. So the start type is going to be start. The machine we are going to add is our toggle quest machine. And what else do I need here? Start enable is going to be on the update, and I think it's everything that we need. So if we were to play again, select new game, if we click or press the J key, now we have the quest journal and we can see the portrait over there. If we go to our NPC, and now we can accept the quest, and if we press again the J key, now we have our quest title that we set up previously, and we have the description here: defeat evil wasp, help green pants, defeat evil wasp. And you remember that we set these green pants to use the quest giver tags, so it's working as expected. So let's close it up, and I will exit because we need to set up now our battle to kill the wasp. So in order to tell the quest machine that we killed the wasp during battle, we need to go to the Machinum editor once again, and in the combatants section and the combatants itself, basically this is handled through battle animations, if you remember previously for other ORK tutorials. So I know beforehand that the new version has these general settings that we set some common task to not repeat the same thing for each enemy. So if I go to the battle settings and scroll down in the general settings, combatant settings, I will see, for example, battle animation. Use Machinum, use schematic, death player, for example, and death enemy. So we could add another battle animation dedicated for this purpose, but let's reuse this death enemy. So right at the end, when the calculate action is called, we could use the add node quest machine, and this is the, what is the message, maybe is Pixel Crusher, yes, send to message system from Pixel Crushers. And from here we want to send the message. If you remember, from the quest action, the message is going to be kill, and the parameter is going to be evil wasp, right? So this is the message that we set previously and the parameter we passed. Now here's the caveat though. Remember that this schematic is executed for every enemy that we fight. So we need to add a check combatant to check whether this death schematic is being called from the wasp. So let's add node combatant, what is it, combatant again, and check combatant, and the success will link it to the send to message system. And of course in the check combatant we want to check whether this machine is being run by the wasp. Okay, so that's everything that we need here. So save schematic. And the next step is go to the world scene, and let's find the random battle. So I will select the game object here and press F to focus select. So this is the area where random battles will be executed, and we can scroll down and see that the enemies that is going to join this battle is the wasp and the snake. What I will do though, because we have a 60% chance of have the wasp, I just will bump it up to 80% and the 20% to have the snake. That's all the change we need here. So let's save the scene and let's test it out. So let's make a little bit of room here and hit play. New game. And let's go to Green Pants, accept the quest. Now let's go to the field and trigger the random battle. And you can see on the top right corner, this is the hot text which is displaying the quest title. So let's first get rid of the snake. We got a 20% chance there. Tough snake. Okay, it's gone. We got 4 experience and 10 gold. So we need to keep track of what we got. Let me press F1 to get the inventory and check how money we have. So far we have 60 coins. So let's see if we get now the wasp. There we go. Defeat evil wasp, remember. So let's attack the wasp. Now it's gone, and you can see now it's asking go back or talk to Green Pants. This is the standard loot items from the battle. So let's go back and talk to Green Pants. We can also track once again how many money we have, just to see if we actually get the rewards in our inventory. So we have 70 coins. And you can see also the indicator change to question mark. And now we have the result, which is a great job. I knew you could do it. Here is your reward. If we close the dialog and let's check it out, the inventory once again, and now we have 80. So we added the 10 coins that we promised for the quest. And for the experience, I forgot to track those that one before, but if we see here in the player inspector where the combatant component is, and we see experience 6, which is not adding up at all from our reward and what we have from the battles. So let's try to see what's going on here. Let me stop play mode and let's debug the thingy. Or actually, let me stop once again, and what we are going to do is in the random battle, once again, let's bump this one to 90 and this to 10. Every 0.5 seconds, let's add 1 second between check intervals. Okay, so save. I just want to have a chance to play to battle the wasp, and also to be able to leave the field battle right away. So once again, let me go. Oh, come on, camera. Oh, sorry, my bad. I forgot to start from the start menu. It was not able to find the quest manager. So new game, accept, and let's go to the field. And before that, let me open the fighter game object and see how many experience we have. We have 0. And let's fight the wasp. The wasp is dead. Accept the loot items and go back to, oops, another fight. Okay. Three more experience from the battle itself. Let's see now. Before talking to Green Pants, let's double check. In the fighter we have 6 points of experience, and according to our quest we should get 10 points more, so 16 after our reward. And actually it decreases, so something is going on here. And let me stop. So let's double check in our data, Green Pants quest. Let's open up the quest editor. In the return section we have give 10 experience with ID 4 to the player. So let's debug this thingy here. And this is going to be in the scripts folder for the quest integration, quest machine integration, and in the quest actions, and we have the ORK give experience quest action. So let's open up this in Visual Studio. So once the script is open, let's scroll down into our execute method, and we can see here we get the value of the quest, and then here we set the ID of the quest, and finally we retrieve sorry, not the ID of the quest, the ID of the status value, which is the experience, is number 4 as we saw before, and then we call the add value and we pass some parameters here, right? So let's see what we have here in the add value. Int add value is critical false, check depth false, check level up true, ignore limit false. So right away I can see there is a mismatch of the parameters, I guess, because the ignore limit is over here. So let me remove this guy here and put it over here, false. This is the show console parameter here. Show console, and last the status value ignore, right? So that should be it. And I don't think that's the cause of the issue though, because it was complying with the number of parameters that we need to set up. So let me try by setting the check level up to false and see what happens. Let Unity compile and let's give it another try. Once again, let's accept the quest and let's find the wasp. And we got 10% with the snake, okay. With random. Tough snake. Dial ready. Okay. Again a snake. Okay. Okay, let's see if we got the wasp now. Finally. A wasp that deals poison. Evil wasp. Alright, so now let's try to go back to green pants and let me check once again the fighter combatant component, and we have 0 experience, 0 experience for some reason. Is it the ORK Borg? So let's get the rewards. And now we have 10 experience, so the experience from the reward, it worked now with the change we did, but for some reason from the battle, I guess I didn't read the message. Maybe it was the mage that got the experience. But anyways, I think I would report this small bug to team from Pixel Crushers to fix that script officially. But yeah, this is how we can integrate a quest machine with a simple quest. On the next video I plan to do the same but using a procedural quest, which is actually what I'm interested on, and I guess you are too. So thank you for watching the video and supporting the channel, and see you on the next one.